Very few YouTubers have spawned an entire content genre, but John Plant of Primitive Technology, alone in rural Queensland, Australia, birthed a trend that resonates to this day. As the modern silent film artist of our era, he continues to capture some of the most important elements of a compelling story by creating fascinating content which appeals to our basic instincts. He has a lot to teach about the structure of a great video, and by comparing him to similar creators, we can reveal how others fail, often by underestimating the intelligence of their own audience. His ability to teach visually is one of the core elements of why we adhere to his content so closely, meaning, as you watch his videos, you learn his techniques, at a rate much faster than if you were just reading about it. The density of visual information feels like a real practical experience that can be applied to something that anyone can do. It's a form of visual apprenticeship, even if the skills learned might not ever be used. Self-reliance is a skill forgotten by the comforts of modern life, and his audience seems to find solace in that. His videos are peaceful. There's no need to speak because most of what he's teaching can be seen in plain sight. This causes his videos to appeal to the widest audience possible. Anyone from any country can follow visually. The life he leads in his videos is achievable, helping sell the idea that it's accessible to the entire audience. It also lends credence to the feeling like the skills you're learning can actually be used someday. This is part of what makes YouTube one of the most effective forms of media for learning. The breaking of language barriers can be an incredibly effective teaching tool. Many videos feel candid, like you get to sit alongside the creator in person and learn through first-hand experience. The sound design in his videos often uses rhythmic editing and the sounds of nature, which permeates a relaxing and satisfying feeling throughout. It gives rhythm to his videos and gives a harmonious and peaceful tone that resonates in all of his content. This highlights how John Plant is at his core a silent filmmaker. Silent films often battled with the themes of technology raging on, like in Charlie Chaplin's 1936 film, Modern Times. The silent films of the 20s were wide-reaching, in a media world that wasn't yet dominated by English. These films could achieve universal appeal, like with Buster Keaton's The General. It wasn't successful at the time of release, but now it's regarded as one of the greatest American films ever made. Its visual storytelling gives it a timeless quality. Primitive Technology's insistence on creating films without dialogue makes him stand out in a medium now filled with loud, in-your-face, attention-grabbing content. Yet, he distinguishes himself in his eponymous video genre. Though other primitive channels strike at that same sense of progress and visual learning, they tend to be about spectacle, and so ultimately many of them have died back from their explosive growth. It doesn't help that in the name of spectacle, many of these competitor channels were reduced to faking buildings and using modern equipment, completely defeating the whole idea set out by John Plant in the first place. That idea, set out in his book, is starting from nothing and working your way upward. Through that process, you learn much more than just simple hand skills. You learn which pieces of technology were key in our development as a species. This touches on a practical benefit of his series, a field known as experimental archaeology. This is an entire field which helps find evidence of archaeological hypotheses by testing them practically in the field. The best way to figure out how something was done in the past is to attempt to do it yourself. It's a sort of reverse engineering. But despite being a revolutionary creator on the platform, he runs into some classic mistakes. This manifests in his reluctance to accumulate capital. In several of his videos, he essentially repeats himself. He builds multiple ovens, structures, and blowers, all with similar purpose, without really highlighting the advantages or his reasoning. The majority of his viewers don't turn on closed captions to follow his thought process. In his latest videos, he's managed to incorporate the use of iron tools into some of his projects. I don't think Plant should be afraid of incorporating later technologies once he's bridged the gap towards the Iron Age. Seeing the progression of his little camp is one of the most compelling elements of his videos, and you lose some of that when he just builds a new oven or a new version of an old problem. This is a problem that many YouTubers fall into, the feeling like the structure of your content is what sells it, and being wary of deviating from that formula that's worked for you in the past. An excellent comparison with a different structure is Proenneke's Alone in the Wilderness.
It was good to be back in the wilderness again, where everything seems at peace.
It's a classic set of film journals about a naturalist who lives for 30 years in the Alaskan mountains, catching his own food and living in isolation. Much of the sound effects appear to be done in post through Foley, giving it a very clean and relaxing feel, not unlike primitive technology.
What was I capable of that I didn't know yet? Could I truly enjoy my own company for an entire year? And was I equal to everything this wild land could throw at me? I had seen its moods in late spring, summer, and early fall, but what about the winter?
I recommend Alone in the Wilderness. It builds a lot more on the beauty of the nature around him and explains the kind of life he has out there. These two series are fundamentally different and in many ways follow different themes, but many of the core elements that make primitive technology so compelling are present here, with good sound design, beautiful shots of nature, visual learning of practical skills, and thoughts on technology and innovation using your hands. I'm sure if Dick was alive today, he'd watch primitive technology. His narration can be a little distracting for some, so if you're looking for more silent content, I recommend Northmen. Neither of these channels share the same Stone Age primitive technology mission, but their visual teaching, along with general themes of naturalism and survivalism, makes them perfect for anyone looking to branch out. Watching the videos I recommend actually helps promote me on YouTube. Obviously, subscribing helps too if you like my content. Thanks!